Hello. Today I've just said the second Vespers of the Feast of All Benedictine Saints, and that gets coupled in with the Vespers of the Dead for the commemoration of all the dead Benedictine faithful. Now, one question you can quite reasonably ask is, well, why weren't they specifically mentioned in last week's festivities of the Feast of All Saints and the commemoration of the Holy Souls? Well, of course they were, and that's important. They're not neglected. So why are they separated out? Why have a special time for the Benedictine saints and for the Benedictine souls? Well, essentially, the reason is that the Benedictines are about community, and the Benedictine monks and nuns have spent their spiritual lives serving a community, devoting themselves entirely to it. They've given up the idea of personal property. They've given up the idea of having control of their lives. They've given up so much in order to serve a community. So that means that all Benedictines in some way have a special link. Not to denigrate the link that all Christians have, but it's basically having a sort of a group that are connected in this really special way with the Benedictine rule, the Benedictine spirit. And that's why we have the separate celebration. The Benedictine rule, of course, is not the first monastic rule. I think the rule of St. Anthony comes before St. Benedict. But it is St. Benedict's rule that colours monasticism, both in the East and in the West. And a lot of the related orders, such as the Cistercians and the Trappists, they all have some affinity with the Benedictine order. And even the mendicant orders, they still have a pattern, certainly a pattern of offices that are related to that which St. Benedict founded. Of course, in this country, one of the great sadnesses is that monasticism really hasn't recovered since the dissolution of the monasteries in the 16th century. And it's a great sadness to me, certainly, because while you recognise that the monastic orders certainly needed reform, you can't have abbeys that are so wealthy that the abbot doesn't even reside in the abbey, but gallivants about the country, joining in feasts and joining in hunting parties and things like that. You can't have a Benedictine rule kept where the abbot has all the property and the work is not being done by the monks, but actually done by the lay brothers, and they're actually pulling in from the surrounding countryside. St. Benedict himself, ora et labora, is one of the fundamental aspects of his rule: pray and work. And rather than dissolve the monasteries, it would have been so much better to reform them and to insist that a better following of the rule of St. Benedict should happen, rather than a complete sweeping away of the powerhouse of prayer. And of course, since the 19th century, St. Ignatius, brother Ignatius of Llantini, springs to mind, an eccentric who strove to become a Benedictine monk again and tried to bring it all back. And in some sense he succeeded. There was a real flourishing of the Benedictine order at the end of the 19th century, early 20th, with Pershore, which became Nashdom. In its heyday, the wonderful Nashdom Palace. And then, of course, that faded away. The monks there left for Elmore, and now but 3 of them remain, and they now live in Salisbury. There's only one monk from Nashdom left, and that was Dom Francis Hutchins, who's at Salisbury Priory, and who looks after an ailing brother, and the prior there is also still there, but it's a pale shadow of what it once was. So it seems to be a bit of a tale of woe. The Benedictine order seems to be, in this country, rather sparse. And of course, yes, we've got some Roman Catholic Benedictine orders, Downside Abbey, for example, Ampleforth, which are wonderful. But the Anglican Benedictine congregations are in decline. And this is why I do think that people do need to look inside themselves and see if they are called to the monastic orders once more. And if not, I mean, I'm an oblate. I have a family. I have a family to look after, and a family that looks after me as well. And so, obviously, I can't take monastic orders. But I can try and serve my family as best I can in a Benedictine way. And that means that prayer has to be very much a centre of my day. And I think any oblate is the same boat, that prayer, we follow the spirit of the Benedictine rule, and we follow the idea that prayer is said throughout the day. It's not just in the Anglican tradition, just morning prayer and evening prayer. There's prayer that's going on throughout the day. Those of us who can even do the night office of matins, which is very, very special to be able to do that, I think. And to keep that powerhouse going, that prayer going, is so important for the health of the country. And I'd like to think that in other countries too, that these prayers are still going. The monastic communities on the continent in America, keeping that prayer going, so that all around the world, that there's not an hour that passes where there isn't some prayer being offered up to God. It really is a calling. It really is a calling to see if one is meant to live in a community. And while that does mean a celibate lifestyle, which can be hard, but so can being married be hard for some people. It's certainly something to examine in one's life. Because St. Paul says, pray without ceasing. And if, as we celebrate here, the Benedictine saints, they are praying without ceasing for us in some wonderful, I don't know how this works in eternity, where there is some sort of Benedictine group in heaven. Part of me thinks there is, and then sometimes I think there isn't. Well, we'll see. That's not for me to know now. But the saints, the Benedictine saints, are examples of how the prayer on earth is continued in heaven. How the school of learning to be in the presence of God is becomes perfected in heaven. And so, for me and for other Benedictines, to celebrate the All Benedictine saints and remember all Benedictine souls, it's part of our continuing in that community, in that one big monastery, whereby we are together still and wider, offering that community of prayer to those who would receive it. So God bless you. God bless you if you are affiliated with the Benedictine orders in any way, if you're an oblate. God bless you, and may the spirit of St. Benedict fill you with enthusiasm to continue in your duty of prayer and work. God bless you if you are needing prayers at this time, that you may know that both this side and the other side of the Great Veil, you are being prayed for, and that there are so many people who serve in that prayer, both now and in eternity. And God bless you, that with St. Benedict, with all his saints that followed him towards Christ, with all those souls that have been perfected in God, altogether we may serve him and see his wonderful face. God bless you. Please pray for me.